Hello, everybody. It's Graham Cofe with another My Music. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday, which means it's time for me to speak to Elizmi in a minute. But first, we're going to watch this video, see how much pink you can see in it. There's loads. Elizmi, thanks for joining me this afternoon. How the devil are you?
I'm fabulous. How about you?
Oh, I love being fabulous. Yeah, fabulous is fantastic. I don't know whether you can see on the screen. People at home won't be able to see this on the screen at the moment, but can you see right at the top of the screen there in StreamYard? It actually, you can see it's written your name the way that it should be.
Oh, yeah, it has.
It has. Yeah. You see, that's cool. We were just talking about how you've named yourself. Yeah. That it comes from a couple of your names kind of put together, which is good. Why is it so important, do you feel, to have that really kind of strong brand, if you like, strong identity as a young artist going out there these days?
I think that, first of all, there are so many musicians and artists out there that are all trying to, how do I put it? Get there, you know? So I think it's important that you've got something that is unique. And when I was sort of searching for what I wanted to call myself, there was, many different options that I don't remember off the top of my head, but very generic, and I think probably have been used quite a few times. And usually with a little like Google search, you can find out if these names have been used before. So yeah, I thought that Elizmi was something that nobody had ever heard before, and I still get weird looks now from people, especially if they haven't heard me say it and they just see it spelled. They're like, how do you say that? But I think that sort of gets the conversation going as well, and adds like a certain uniqueness to me. But I think that it's so important to be able to stand out and have something that's not so generic.
Oh, I love it. I think it's fantastic. I mean, when I was growing up, one of my heroes growing up was the singer in the band Marillion, and his name was Fish. I just thought that was brilliant.
I love that.
Yeah. And the people assumed that it was to do with his drinking habits. It was actually to do with the fact that he loved to spend time in the bath. But yeah, exactly. But I just think it was, and he's followed it through. He kept that throughout his career, He's got a bit of a funny real name. His name's Derek William Dick. So, Fish works, right?
Yeah.
When you've got a name like that. I'd certainly have to. I think if I was going out as a solo artist, I'd definitely change my name, because no one can get my name right. No, they always get Cofe wrong. They always get that wrong. But I think it's great. I think it's great to have that kind of identity and a strong look. And you have got a really strong look and a really strong identity to what you're doing. Where's that come from? What is it in your DNA, your background, that makes that come through?
So my parents, my mum in particular, she's very into like ska and like the skinhead scene and stuff like that. So
cool.
Nice. Yeah. I grew up around that music, like Northern Soul and like mod culture and things like that. It's been like a sort of different environment to be in, I suppose. Like a lot of the women that I saw had, wacky haircuts, like the skin haircut, like the ladies one with like the sideburns and these different colors. So I'd like to say that I'm quite out there with like my hair and makeup. I don't really necessarily like to sort of blend in. I more want to stand out. But I think that's sort of where it's come from, like a very alternative like family. Yeah.
But obviously your music isn't ska based.
No, it's not. Although I would never sort of not do that in the future. I would probably give that a good point. I do like to, like, you know, what we were saying earlier, I'm very versatile with my music, and there's nothing that I probably wouldn't give a go or try. But yeah, I'd say, you know, it's quite cool having that, you know, upbringing, and that's what sort of made me look the way I am. And then you listen to my music, you'd be like what's going on here? You know, it doesn't sort of match. But I feel like that's so important. Again, it makes me stand out.
Yeah. What got you into music making? Were you always a listener of music when you were young? Did you play an instrument from a young age, or did you hate that?
So I was your typical, you know, 5-year-old just dancing around in front of the TV. And believe it or not, my first inspiration was Britney Spears, even though I probably couldn't relate to her that much now. But I think sort of seeing her on stage and doing what she was doing as a little girl on TV is what influenced me to want to do it. But the writing side of things, I started writing music quite young. When I say music, more lyrics than anything. It took me quite a long time to get the hang of it, but I had like every now and then I go through like my old stuff, old boxes full of things that I had when I was like really, really young, and like there's these little notepads where I've just wrote the most terrible lyrics you could possibly think of. But I feel like even though it was not very good, I feel like that's sort of like the building blocks to turning me into the songwriter that I am today, pretty much.
Yeah. Did you have a voice at a young age, or did you have to develop that voice, or did you have to grow into it?
I feel like I had a bit of a natural ear to music. I feel like I could, you know, pitch myself correctly, but nothing too amazing where I was like, oh, this kid's gonna be like, you know, an amazing singer. It never worked out like that. It was definitely a lot of like hard work. It was more the passion inside me, I think, that is what's made my voice better over the years, and to the point that it is now.
Yeah. And what about instruments? First instrument for you?
My first instrument that I got pretty good at was acoustic guitar, and then I moved on to a bit of electric, but I found myself that I liked the acoustic sound a little bit more, so I sort of stayed on that sort of wave. But I can play piano as well. I sort of understand it better than I can play. My hands are tiny, so it's just, I don't think it's
can't get the reach.
I just don't think it's meant for me. But when it comes to writing music, it's very, 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 very helpful. I've got actually to do with the guitar side of things, I've got quite a lot of videos of me when I was about 12, 13, just like singer-songwriter acoustic vibes.
Yeah.
I actually haven't played guitar in a very, very long time, and it's something that I just want to sort of brush up on again.
Right. So, what's the writing process for you now then? If you're not sort of guitar in hand all of the time, how do you start putting down something?
Well, I wouldn't say I necessarily have like one method that I use. Loads of different things inspire me on like my day-to-day basis. So I could be at my pub job and I hear a new song from any artist and I think it's really cool, or it gives me an idea about a lyric. Like there could be one word in it that just sort of really like sparks something in me, and I'll write that word down. And then at a later point come up with a melody, maybe write a few more words and then have a melody with those words, and then I could take it to a producer and be like this is my idea, do you think we could recreate it? And then we try. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. That's just one method that I use to write. But I also, when I'm, you know, like forcing myself to write where the motivation is not necessarily there, YouTube is like my best friend.
Right.
Yeah, so like finding tracks as motifs as such.
Yeah.
To sort of take elements from, and then I use Splice with Logic to piece together a track, like a production-wise, for something very simple. And then I put lyrics and melody on top of it. So it can go really one of two ways. So the lyrics come first, or the music comes first. Sometimes both. I'm, you know, whenever the motivation's there and I'm feeling it, that's really when I know that it's going to work, whatever it is.
I like that. That's quite a modern way of writing. you know, looking for little sound elements and then sort of pulling out what you want, you know, transferring it over there, pulling it all together, and then putting your own sort of idea onto the top of it. It's a great way of looking at it. What catches your ear when you're listening to music that makes you want to go, I want a little bit of that? What really sort of excites your?
I think that it's more so the lyrics than anything. Sorry, I don't know why I'm getting notifications.
It's ready.
Yeah, it sounds like my dinner's just dinged, but no. Sorry, what was the question again? I just completely.
Yeah, I'd just say what is it about, like a little bit of melody or you know, like a little riff or something that kind of excites your ear and makes
what I was going to say now. So it's more so the lyrics for me. I feel like it's very important to tell a story. And here's a topic about music, the music industry. That's, you know, it's something that I talk about quite a lot. That I feel that a lot of commercial music doesn't really have any feeling. It doesn't have any purpose. And I feel like when I do hear music that has purpose or has like maybe just a few lyrics in it that just really work well together, but have so much meaning and could relate to many, many people in different ways. Like when it just touches you, I feel like that inspires me the most to want to recreate something like that. Lyrics first, always. I feel like lyrics are very important, but melody again, or sampling something from like an older song, for example, and then making it into something new that makes me go, oh, okay, like you've taken something that in itself was just, you know, a masterpiece, and then created it into like another masterpiece from, you know, that idea. So that gets my head going as well, thinking about.
Do you love that as well? That the fact that it's got, when people do that and they capture like that one bit from a song, you know, it's you know, thinking of some of the things that have been out recently, like, you know, you go, oh, that's Shanks and Bigfoot, you know, with that, and it's like, because it transports you back into the time when that song was out, but now it's a completely different song as well, and it's got a completely different feeling to it.
Don't get me wrong, some of them I probably wish they'd left the
original.
But
so does everybody else sometimes. Yeah.
I think that there is like maybe one or two occasions where, you know, you listen to that and you think, wow, okay, because I think from my own point of view, I've probably not done that for the reason that I wouldn't want to annoy anybody that is really into that old song and feel like I've just completely, you know, ruined it or something. But sometimes it does really work. And I'll give you an example. Rocket Man, Elton John, and Dua Lipa.
Doesn't it? Yeah, brilliant.
Works so well, brilliantly, right? And it's such a floor filler. Whenever I do it, when I'm gigging, it is a floor filler. And even my dad hates when, for example, you take an old song and make it new, and he loves this song, like he loves it. So that's just you know, like an example of what I maybe could do in the future, but I'm just sort of biding my time, waiting for the right inspiration to come along.
That's a really perfect way of that song's a really great example, because it's two songs plus a new piece that's been put in there, and it's just so cleverly done.
It is very well.
It kind of almost messes with your head in a way, because it's like, oh, it's this song, no, it's that song, no, it's a new song. No. And I love, you know, where it kind of plays with you emotion wise, because you kind of feel all of the original song emotions, but you in the melodies, but it's a completely new lyric and a completely new song.
Do you know what, you put that so perfectly, because it does have this like dancey, like you want to get up and like have a dance, but at the same time, like the lyrics from like the older songs, you know, they're different, especially like Rocket Man, for example. It's much slower and more emotional. To then transform it into something that you actually has a bit of a groove and you want to sort of, you know, move to it. I feel like that's very clever that, you know, they could achieve that.
Yeah, no, I think you know, I mean, you're giving me an enormous amount of hope for music for the future, because you are young, and you know, the things that you're saying are brilliant. I had Brown Bear in here the other day, and he was talking about there's just so much music that's kind of been in the charts, if you like, over the last few years. He said, you know, it's just throwaway stuff because it has absolutely no story to it, no kind of emotion in the lyrics, whatever.
Yeah.
And he's trying to write stuff now where it's got a story, and it's got a beginning and an end, and it takes you somewhere emotionally. And I see at the moment the beginnings of people really trying to get back into songcraft again.
I feel that. Yeah, no, I definitely see it. I think that we've got a bit of like an 80s vibe going on at the moment, especially in like commercial music, and I love it. I really, really do. But some of it is crap. I mean, there's no other way to put it, really. But it's difficult, like, especially as an artist, because you want to be authentic. You want to create stuff that's authentic, and then you're also battling with this ideology that if you don't follow the crowd, you're not going to do well. And I probably, you know, there's so many artists that probably heard this, but like, it's like, just do what they want until, you know, you make it. And then when you make it, you can create the music that you want. And it's something that I've never really liked the idea of. And I will continue at the level and stage that I'm at, writing authentic music that I feel is authentic to me and has feeling and meaning, then just be another recycled artist, you know, like how you were saying that it's just throwaway material. I would never ever want to do that just for fame and money.
Yeah. Like, how much have you got to want it these days to make it happen? How much have you got to want it?
Like, you've really got to be so resilient, like very mentally strong to put yourself through that, where you are literally somebody's puppet at the end of the day, and a moneymaker. And if you're not churning out the music that they want at the speed that they want it, you know, that can be really, like, I have an example, like Lewis Capaldi just done a Netflix.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you watched it, but
yeah,
it really does show the effects that it has on people. And he's probably one of those artists that's, you know, very down to earth, just like a normal guy, you know, like, and the pressure that they were putting on him to sort of just churn out more music, it's quite, you know, it does make you sort of open your eyes a little bit to the way the music industry sort of functions.
Yeah. Everybody's doing a documentary at the moment. There's a Ed Sheeran one on Disney Plus as well. And again, in that, you know, he's saying, you know, you have got to want this 120%. You've got to absolutely want it, because everything's so fast nowadays within sort of pop culture, etc. It's like there's always the next person coming up behind you all the time, wanting to take it. Do you feel that as a pressure as a young person trying to make music?
Actually, I was having this conversation with my mum earlier, because it is a sensitive subject for me, and I quite often you hear that, you know, once you get to a certain age, you're not going to make it, you're not going to do well. You sort of, you know, you have an expiry date per se,
like a footballer, you know.
Yeah. It was like boxing, and you know, is that really what music's supposed to be about? You know, like how much time I have left looking young, you know, like, or just being young. Like, what sustenance does that really have to music, you know? Surely, I mean, I'm not putting down any young artist at all, but surely the older you get, the more wise you are, the stronger you are mentally to handle hurdles within the music industry. And especially if you've done it for years, since you were like a teenager, for example, you've experienced things. You've experienced being on stage. You've experienced all these, you know, surely you would be seen as a more reliable person to sign and invest all this money into. So like this ideology of like not having any time. Actually, I wrote a song about it called Wasting Time. The pressure of feeling like, you know, you don't have a lot of time to sort of grasp people's attention. And again, going back to Lewis Capaldi's documentary, he said that when he made it, he basically was given like 6 months to write a whole new album. And you have to do it, you know, or because there is somebody else that will be the next new thing, you know. So it's quite,
it's scary. I guess the great thing to take courage from is, on the flip side, I'm interviewing a lot of people of your generation at the moment, you know, on this show, but I'm also interviewing a lot of people that had their career, then have gone into, you know, parenthood, you know, back to work, whatever, have you know, disappeared from the music industry for 10, 20, 30 years in some cases.
Yeah.
And have now come back and they're like, we don't care.
Yeah.
We you know, we've actually got to this point where the reason we've come back, and COVID has been a massive kind of instigator or incubation point for this.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Because a lot of people have gone, oh, need to reevaluate. Why have I completely stopped that in my life? Because it was such a massive part of my life. And actually, you know, just because I've got this, you know, my career and my family and whatever, I shouldn't have completely knocked that to the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah. But now I'm going to come back and I'm going to do it on my terms. And I really don't care.
I love that.
What happens. And I think that's just a really refreshing thing. And I want to encourage a lot of younger artists to look at those people that are doing that and go, actually, perhaps we need to own that a little bit.
Yeah.
And go, do you know what? It doesn't really matter. You know, we can always find a job at the fish and chip shop, or we can always do something else, or we can always, you know, do something else as well.
You can always go to uni. You can go to uni when you're 50.
Whatever. You can do all of those things.
Yes, exactly.
Whenever. But, you know, if part of your existence on this planet is being put here to make music, for the enjoyment of people and yourself, and to you know, elevate your soul and whatever, then yeah, just do it. And actually, if it takes 2 years to make an album, it takes 2 years to make an album.
Exactly. I feel like, yeah, no, I completely agree. And I think like the way I see it is that ultimately I am doing this for myself. I'm doing it because when I was young, this was a passion that I had and a motivation that I had. And quite often I feel like I don't have that. And it's quite sad because I wish I could just sort of go back to that childhood feeling of what it felt like to just want to be in the position that I'm in now, you know.
Watching Britney again.
Yeah, but you see what I mean? Like how, you know, that feeling that you got from, you know, I don't quite often get that anymore. And it's sad because you do sort of drill into yourself that this is a process. You need step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And, you know, if you're not getting the engagement on your music, then you're not doing well enough and you need to take measures to do better. Where, I can't but applaud people that have taken 10, 15, 30 years out of the industry and come back to it, where now they're in a place where they're like, I don't care anymore. Like, this is, you know, what I want to do pretty much. So, yeah, I think like what you said, it's so important that that's, you know, a message that's put out to the younger people.
I think it's difficult as well because, you know, there's so much for you to do as well these days as a young artist. You know, it's you. Yeah, there's not the resources there. It's not like you sign a record contract and then, you know, and then there's all this money there to pay for all of these things. Everything is really cheap. You're getting some good people, good insights. But, you know, it's like Cara that I spoke to yesterday, and she was talking about kind of burnout from doing social media and all of that side of things as well. And I said to her, giving her a bit of advice, because I said, look, social media is my kind of thing. That's what I do, and I do it for other people. I help other people with it. And I said, on the one hand, you want to maintain you're hands-on with everything because you want to be authentic for your fans and all of that. But at the other thing, I said the way to look at it, I think, is you're a creative, and creatives need other creatives to work with, right? And I think you need to do it in every single aspect of your career. So if it's things like social media, don't give it to somebody else to do all of it, but work with someone that takes the pressure off. That actually encourages you and fills your cup in terms of every day going, right, do you know what, don't worry about that, we're going to make this happen. I'm going to help you do all of this. You're going to get your voice in there, etc. But you know, you focus on you. Right?
Got you.
You know, and I talk to commercial clients about this as well, right? I think part of it is there's a feeling that as a young artist, you've got to like answer every text from everybody, respond to everybody that comes through, etc., to keep everybody happy and whatever. Actually, you probably don't, because you know what? The pop stars of yesteryear, they didn't answer anything, right? They were aloof. They were kept away from people, right? It's more a case of actually knowing when to answer and what to answer, right? It's a case of making time for yourself as well. And I think actually fans will appreciate it when people go, do you know what? I need a bit of time for myself.
Yeah, I do that often, actually.
Yeah. And I think that's important. I think it's really, really important for anybody that's, you know, at your stage, trying to make it, trying to put stuff out, trying to, you know, do all of that. I think that's really important. So
it is. I really agree with that. I think that I myself have put quite a lot of like pressure on myself to be constantly active and, you know, post content every day and, you know, like you say, reply to everybody and, you know, just be active. And I quite often just don't have it in me to be like that. And for me personally, it's quite hard. Obviously, like I love being in the community of artists, like NAS, for example, which is like this collective of people that all support each other, which is great. I love all that. But at the same time, it's, you know, it does become draining. It does become like this. It's like repetitive. And I'm one of these people. I do. Being like a perfectionist, I quite often, you know, need space from things so that I regain that motivation to do all that hard work, you know. Thankfully I have my mum who helps me do pretty much everything, so if there are days where hi mum, she's probably watching.
If you're watching, mum, say hi.
Say hi.
Put something in the comments. You look, you know, mums are important in those situations. I mean, that's good. If you've got that rock to ground yourself on, that's very, very important. Now listen, you talked about the fact that you take things that have been before and you know, you kind of like the fact that you can bring something back from the dead, if you like, and make it something new. Yes, I am watching. There you go. She's watching as you.
She's loving it as well.
I love it. You've written a drum and bass song. Now, drum and bass, you know, at one point, massive, you know.
Yeah.
I actually remember I did sound for Goldie one time.
No way. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And you know, over that sort of time when it was like Goldie and Ronnie Size and the whole, you know, because I lived down in the southwest, so like the whole Bristol scene was just massive on the old drum and bass front.
It still is, to be honest with you.
Absolutely, right. So what was it about drum and bass that really?
I'll be honest. So in college, from the age of about 16 to 18, I was absolutely like electronic dance music mad. Drum and bass included, garage, the lot. I was probably like one of two people that I knew that really liked it, to be honest. And quite often, if I played it in, because I studied performing arts, and quite often we had our breaks in like our like little theatre rooms, and we would play our own music, and I would get some weird looks from people from playing drum and bass. But I sort of like really neglected that part of myself because of the way people reacted to it.
Yeah.
And
they'd put it in a box and
close the lid. I did the same, which I wish I never did, because I do really feel like it's my calling. My boyfriend pretty much is the one that reintroduced me to my love of drum and bass, even though I still listen to most of the commercial drum and bass that was out anyway.
Good man. Good man.
He is. He's reawakened my love for it pretty much. So yeah, he's the reason, I'd say, more than anything, that I've done a drum and bass track. He's sort of pushed me to do it because he'd sort of heard the bits and bobs that I'd done for it, and he's like, I actually really like this. And it was nice to get like that support from him, that he really enjoyed it, being that it's a genre that is the only genre he listens to pretty much. So yeah.
And when you'd done it, and when you'd finished it, and when it was out there, how happy were you with that? That it was
so happy. Yeah, so happy. And I think that I quite often don't feel like that about music. It's quite sad to say. Yeah, when even during the process of it, and we were sort of creating it, I knew that it was something that I'd never done before, but something that I really enjoyed, something that actually, you know, sparked that motivation in me that I was telling you about. So yeah, and then when it was out, and I was actually able to sort of show, you know, friends, and like my boyfriend showed his friends, for example, and now they've all got it on their playlists, and the reaction is sort of.
Did the reaction help?
Yeah, definitely.
Massively.
Massively. Yeah, no, I think that I've had a lot of people telling me that I need to do a drum and bass album, and it's definitely a thought.
Is there something to be learnt there? Is there something to be learnt that actually, you know, and it ties in with the previous conversation, that you can kind of end up feeling that you've got to produce what people expect you to produce, etc. But once you start doing what you really love, you enjoy it so much more, and it kind of almost doesn't become a job anymore. It gets back to the fun element of it. But B, the reaction to it is better as well, because people feel the love that went into it.
I was about to say that although this track's not drum and bass, but Waste No Time, that I released before the drum and bass track, was something that I put a lot of like emotion into, and I'd spent a lot of time not doing music, and I really wanted to make a track that sort of reflected how I'd felt for the last couple of years. And the response I got from that one, as well as that guy, was like, this feels very raw and very like this came from the heart. And not even like, obviously I would love to keep making drum and bass, and I'm going to do that, like, no doubt. But I just in general want to just keep making music that makes me feel that way. And I think it's so important, because it is, you know, it's translatable. People feel it, and they hear it, especially like in my voice, in the lyrics, the story of it all. I think that it all has a bigger impact on the listener, and I do care about what the listeners think. And I think that I'd be silly sitting here saying that I only care about, you know, how I feel about singing, but of course I care about, you know, other people's reactions, otherwise I wouldn't put it out there, you know. So to get that response, it just validates the feelings that I had, and I do feel like it's steering me in a direction. So
good. I feel this whole interview's been quite cathartic for you. Look, you've got got Dad now as well, which is great, which is absolutely great. I just think this is really important for a lot of young musicians listening to this. I think it's really important that you plow your own field, you row your own boat in this. And ultimately, do you know what I think people think that fans are really fickle, right? And that actually, if you don't, it's because I think it's almost fed to you through social media and almost through the buzz around the industry as well, which is that if you don't keep on trend, keep doing what you're meant to be doing, etc., fans will go away.
Yeah.
Genuinely, do you know what? The artists that I've seen over the years that have sustained fantastic careers over and years and years and years, etc., have been the ones where the fans actually want the artist to do what the artist wants to do.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to. I think you've all got to learn that, which is that people almost really actually at the core of it, people actually want their creatives to surprise them. Even with what I do when I'm creating stuff for people for social media, right? If all I did was churn out what they expected, they would at some point they'd go, oh, it's not quite as, because they probably came in and saw you in the first place because you were doing something a bit disruptive and a little bit different.
Yeah.
So what people really want from you is to be a little bit, be that little bit edgy and a little bit different and a little bit you all of the time.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think that everybody wants to clone themselves and be like somebody else, just because that person is, in, trendy, whatever.
But they're already there. They've already done that.
Exactly. So it's time to be yourself, pretty much. Time to, be the shepherd, not the sheep.
Yeah, absolutely. So what can we look forward to from you?
What can we look forward to? Just more authenticity, to be honest.
Brilliant.
With you. There's I don't like to, like I said in the beginning, I'm very versatile and I don't like to sort of box myself into one genre. But you can just expect more authenticity and more openness about, what I'm going through as an artist. And I think that transparency is so important in general, like just to sort of educate people that that want to be artists or even aren't artists, that what we do is tricky. There is a lot to it. We don't just get up and go, I'm going to post this and this is great and I did it in 5 minutes and I'm going to upload it and get all these likes. It doesn't work like that.
It's a lot of blood, sweat and tears goes into everything. It
really is. And I think that again, just authenticity, transparency.
Fantastic. Let's finish on a really up tone.
Yeah.
If you could work with somebody,
this
is a question I ask quite a lot, but if you could work with somebody, dead or alive,
right,
on a track, who would that be?
Probably Freddie Mercury.
Oh, you're not the first person to say that. Why?
Why not? It's just amazing. I think like for example, Queen's Band Aid performance is so iconic, and it's one of those moments that has sparked like a lot of inspiration to me. And whenever I hear his music and I hear his voice, I just want to tear up and start crying. So he's just such a legend in so many ways. Rest in peace, Freddie.
I know, and so many musicians have talked about that moment as well. I mean, I can remember watching it.
Oh, don't! I'm so jealous.
Right?
Ridiculously jealous.
How ridiculous is that, right? Yeah. I think for any young person that went through watching that was music minded at the time, it was like, I want to be that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
100%. I would have thought the exact same thing if I was, alive then.
Look at this. Nice one about giving new unsigned artists a slot like this and sharing your experience and advice with them. Yeah, well, that's what we're here for. And well done to you too. Very natural and engaging future star. Yes, of course. That's what it's all about. This is what I say at the end of every one of these, which is if you've enjoyed this, if you like this, go and share it around all over the place. Not for me, because I'm old and quite frankly, nobody gives a damn. But it's and I don't either. But it's actually for all of the fantastic musicians that come on here and give me their time, because I just don't think people you know, we live in a world where everything's kind of easy, it seems to be easy and throwaway, and you know, Chat GPT can write your, you know, do your washing up and make your bed and all of that sort of thing. It's not like that. You know, music is something that it's an absolute labor of love. It's hard. It, you know, it's a struggle to get up, to be creative on a day-to-day basis.
Oh yes.
And you know, do it, pour your heart out day in, day out. I mean, it wears me out just getting up and doing my posts every day, which I do, and putting all of that energy out there. But to make music so giving of yourself, and you know, and yet people think, well, it's fine to give that back by just streaming it and effectively paying people peanuts. Well, don't, you know, start spending the money.
Send me your money.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll sort of go into a little bit of Queen if we like in a minute. But yeah, look, if you've enjoyed this, do share it, and do go and check out Elizmi's music and actually pay her some money for it. Okay, really, really important. Okay,
thank you.
That's the important bit. Do that, and then, you know, money. Because money does, in a way, make the world go round, or at least pays musicians to make a bit more.
At least funds me to keep making more.
Yes, exactly. You know, you wouldn't want it for all of your, you know, your favourite musicians to end up working down the fish and chip shop. For a start, you know, there isn't enough fish in the sea.
I think that just keeping like the independent artist, like, just alive, you know, compared to like everything that's really commercial. And I think that that's important because they are very authentic people. So and they need that support.
Indeed. So go download everything by Elizmi now. You know, when she's got tours, go see her, buy the tickets. When she has merch, buy all of it, wear it. Because, you know, that's great. I'll leave you with one piece of advice, which I've given to several people. I feel like I almost need to copyright this as a piece of advice, but because people are actually starting to take me up on it. Musicians are taking me up on this now, which is, when you next get t-shirts made, what you need to do, and if I could get every musician on the planet doing this would be brilliant, right? Is you need to have your design on the front or whatever, and then on the back it says, I listen to insert name of artist, in your case Elizmi, on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, whatever, but, and then underneath that it says, but I paid them for this t-shirt. And that would be the break for all musicians out there, you know. Buy the t-shirt, get the music. Doesn't matter. That's the way.
Love it.
It's genius, isn't it? It's absolute genius. You know, we won't buy CDs anymore. We'll just buy the t-shirt and stream the music. That's the way. And then we can all go round happy and enjoying life.
Yeah, agreed.
Thank you for being an absolutely brilliant guest.
Thank you for having me. It's been a good
I've enjoyed chatting to you. I'm sorry if it made you emotional at times.
No,
and I particularly like the very 80s curtains you've got in the background there as well.
One put these up.
Not only were there 80 references in the music, but there's 80 references in the decor.
So it's all good.
Look at that. I will get that made on her t-shirts.
There we go.
Right there, right now. Thank you, Elizmi. Thank you so much. Thanks for everyone that's watched all of the My Musics this week. If you like it, do subscribe, share it with your friends, as I say, not for me, but for the musicians. I'll be back next week with more exciting interviews with more artists who really need your help. Until then, bye for now.